to call this meeting to order. Can we please start with a moment of silence? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Steve, will you please take the roll call?
Thank you, Madam President. Councilperson Demka?
Here.
Councilperson Boyd?
Here.
Councilperson Borough?
Here.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Here.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Present.
Madam President Brandenburg?
Here.
Mayor Kadistik? Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Hannah, actually, one thing that we wanted to do this year was that have our junior council members, typically they participate and they're sitting off to the side over there, and they come up at the end of the meeting, typically give their reports. But one of the things that we wanted to do this year to be a little different is actually involve them in actually running the meetings, so they learn some parliamentary procedure and they actually learn the process of what it's like to be actually sitting up here, trying to keep things moving along, trying to keep things organized, trying to solicit public comment and feedback. And last month, Sarah had the honor of running the meeting. And this month, Hannah has the honor of running the meeting. Hannah Brandenburg has the honor of running the meeting. And it's a really great thing to have these junior council members here because they learn so much from government, from community government, or from local government. And we were actually going to have a presentation tonight, but we're giving our junior council members plaques, but the plaques are delayed in arriving, so the plaques will be a bit delayed. So we are going to have a little ceremony, but because the plaques aren't here, we won't be having that this evening. But obviously, I wanted to pass my heartfelt thanks on to our junior council members, and I see Jean's here, so you raised a wonderful daughter, Jean.
Thank you.
So she's been a true pleasure to have here in all of our meetings, and you'll get to see her in action here tonight actually running the meeting. And I'll turn it over to anyone else who has comments or anyone else that wants to add anything.
I'll just say that I was very impressed how extremely prepared you were in every meeting. And without any provocation, you just came prepared. And that's a sign that somebody's going to be successful in life. So congratulations and thank you.
I'd like to say, Mr. President, that so many people today are turned off by political activity, and it's important that the young people get engaged and prepare for the future because somebody has to do this. It's important. It's an important community function. Somebody has to do it, and some people have to step up to the plate, and it's great to see that.
And I'd just like to say that, you know, the junior council program is come and went. But it's great as a council member to be a part of the council that is supportive and welcoming to it because in past councils there wasn't a majority that welcomed the concept. But I think to have young people and be a part of the process at this early age, at this early stage, I think gives them an appreciation of what is involved and hopefully their community involvement will continue long beyond this junior council process because the time doesn't happen by us. It helps with everybody joining together. So, you know, Hannah, you did a fantastic job. Come from a great mother and you know, you're just a wonderful young human being. And it's been a great pleasure to have you up here.
Thank you.
And I just want to apologize. I'm sorry the room's a little bit warm tonight. We're having some air conditioning problems, so we're working on getting that fixed. So that's why we have the fans going in the back of the room. So I'll turn it back over to Hannah at this point, or Madam President, I'm sorry.
Are there any public comments on the submissions? Also, please state name and address and please keep comments 3 minutes or under. We'll start with administration, Councilman Sarfield.
Thank you, Madam President. Motion A is a motion to approve the minutes from the council meeting May 11th, 2015.
Discussion?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Motion B is motion to advertise ordinance number 2415, an ordinance of the Borough of Carnegie, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, electing to amend its municipal pension plan administered by the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System, PMRS, pursuant to Article 4 of the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law.
Second.
Discussion?
Madam President, this ordinance is a response to contract negotiations which we held last year and were completed and ratified in December. And this is just one step in the process that's required to make a change in the pension plan.
Roll call?
Just for the public, I think it'd be important to inform the public what the specifics of the ordinance is.
You don't want me to go through what we did last month, or last week, rather.
I mean, why wouldn't you? It was a voting meeting.
Mr. President, I mean, we last 45, last week we did 45 minutes on explaining it. You wouldn't be proposing we would do that all over again.
You're just asking for the wording of the motion.
What's in the ordinance that we're voting on?
The ordinance changes the pension plan for the non-uniformed employees of the borough. The non-uniformed employees are the non-police officer employees. That pension plan improvement will increase their pension rate, that is the amount that they get upon retirement. It will take the cap off of the maximum amount that they could get. That is, if the more years they work, the more they can get in their pension plan. And without having all my notes right in front of me.
Well, I mean, it's right in the ordinance to make it. I think it's important to let the public know that, you know, what the ordinance says. Some may have been here on Monday, but
You have, you have.
yeah, I have the ordinance right there.
No, I'll get it. The third item, which was a significant change, was the reduction of the retirement age, which was formerly early retirement age of 62 is changed to 60. So the age of 60 retirement, an increase in the rate from 2 to 2.5%, and the cap. There was previously a cap of 75% of salary, average salary, to a no cap. The cap is eliminated. And that's the change to the pension plan. That was mainly based on givebacks that the employees gave. Predominantly, the major giveback was health care. No employees hired after the first of this year are eligible for spouse health care. And that's a fairly significant figure. It doesn't, all the savings do not appear immediately, but they do over a period of time amount to a significant savings. If you average it across all of the non-uniform employees, that would be approximately $80,000 a year in premium savings. But those do not all come immediately. Those come as employees retire and they are replaced with new employees. There were other changes as well, an increase in the number of steps to get the full salary. And there are some other smaller changes which are less significant, but that were the major changes in the labor agreement.
May I make a comment, Mr. President? Some things, there were some other things in the ordinance that we're passing today, and according to the ordinance, it says that we have to pass this ordinance to accept the financial obligations resulting from the administration of this pension plan, of the contract and the benefit plan modifications. And it also requires us to assume all liabilities from these changes. And some of the other changes that need to be known is that there's a change in the plan liability, which means that our plan, which was 96% funded, is now 74% funded. And that means we have a shortfall, a pension deficit of $912,137, $912,137, sorry. So that's the deficit we have now. And
That's the deficit we have now, or that's the deficit we will have?
that's the deficit we will have once we approve this.
Over, I mean, but that's not an immediate deficit.
Well, no,
right?
I know.
Okay.
I'm gonna-
Just a point, I just
I'm
want
just reading what's in the ordinance right now, and then if you want to discuss anything else, we can discuss it. Our first obligation, from what Rick said last week, is this has to be paid back within 10 years, and our first payment is due in 2017, and that's $156,000 is the first payment. And then what Rick also said last week is that once this is paid off, there will be a $30,000 increase in the pension into perpetuity. So that there'll be a $30,000 higher that we'll have to pay after the 10 years. And then the last thing that Rick said last week that I think is really important is that he mentioned that this pension plan is now one of the top in the state. So
That's correct. It will be one of the best municipal pension plans in the state. That's correct. And I think that you have to take that in context, that we are trading away a defined number. A pension plan has a very defined number. You can predict what it is out into the future using actuarial studies. Healthcare benefits, if you read the Post-Gazette yesterday, you will see that there's some fear of the future cost of healthcare premiums. And this is something we're trading away, something which is an unknown cost in the future for something as a defined cost in the future. And I think there's a little bit of security in that.
Thank you.
and just the only other comment I would like to make is that first of all, I understand that negotiating 3 contracts is very difficult, so I appreciate the work that you guys did negotiating the contracts. But this to me is a significant investment, and I'm a little disappointed, I think, that we didn't discuss this further in meetings. We discussed it a little bit last week, but I still think it's well after the fact that these numbers should have been presented earlier and shared, and really we should have had a good discussion. And the bottom line is, when we work together as a group and discuss this information, we end up with better results. We complement each other when we do that. So I felt there should have been more discussion on this issue. I mean, we had met early in the process, and never once did I remember that we talked about increasing pension benefits to the actual day before the voting, but then I didn't get mine because Pat's, the email you sent me couldn't open the attachment. So.
The summary sheet that we had listed the 3 improvements. It's true they did not have the big aggregate numbers,
right.
But they did indicate that there was a significant improvement in the pension plan.
Yeah, and that night I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that night I said I have some concerns about what this means financially, and we had talked about that briefly that night. It was kind of a chaotic night because we were approving a lot of different things.
End of the year stuff is chaotic, that's true.
So, but I just think more discussion, and especially when everybody has all the information in front of them, would be more appropriate, because this is a significant amount of money that we owe in our pension. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson LeVar?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demka?
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Finance, Councilman DeLoss.
Thank you. A motion to approve the June bill list and bill list addendum.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson LeVar?
Yes.
Councilperson Demka?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Madam President? Motion passes.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2015-08, a resolution of the Borough of Carnegie establishing fees for the filing of the Borough Street Sidewalk Utility Opening Application.
Second.
Discussion?
Madam President, this is a ordinance which has been a long time coming through. It's been a couple of years we've been discussing, literally the mayor shaking his head, this is a couple of years discussing what should be the compensation to the borough when someone tears open one of our streets. Either do a sewer repair or water pipe repair, or opens up a sidewalk. What should be the compensation to the borough for doing that? And we had a very long debate over many months to come to a conclusion as to what would be appropriate. And this resolution calls for specific fees based on the size of the opening of the street and the distance on the street from side to side and length to length boundaries for the money due to the borough taxpayers in that case.
Let me just add that our engineering firm is very, very helpful in doing this ordinance and looking at other ordinances and other municipalities. And I think that it definitely fits what we've needed for a long time.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I have no other motions, thank you.
Finance, Councilwoman Deca. Public Works.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 2399, an ordinance of the Borough of Carnegie, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of PA, amending Chapter 21, Part 1 of the Borough Code of Ordinances relating to street excavation and openings.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah,
For the edification, I'm sorry, for the edification of council, this is the actual ordinance authorizing the actual action. That resolution was the fees for the application. Yes.
and as Councilman DeLoss had said, this is something we've been discussing for quite a while. It's good to see that it's coming to fruition now. I do want to state one thing, and I say this at the meeting last week. You know, my only concern with the ordinance, I think it's a different ordinance than what we're used to, and how it works is when people open up our streets to do work, they have to repair it, but we would charge them for what it would cost to repair it. And then our public works manager would have the option of whether we wanted them to repair it or take the money and do it ourselves. You know, the only concern I have with this whole ordinance, because it's a little different than what's out there. I think there's only one other community that has an ordinance similar to this. I think the intent is great. My only concern is that we got to worry about the impact on roads that are torn up, that we make sure that they are repaired and do not become in disarray because the money is moving into a different fund. So that's the only concern, because they can really, if you look around our town, there are a number of roads where somebody has excavated the road or, opened the road and repaired it and actually ruined our road. And there are more than I can even count. So, hopefully this will correct that and not impact those roads that are open and not getting repaired properly.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Public Safety, Councilman Boyd.
Thank you, Madam President. Motion to adopt ordinance 2414, an ordinance of the Borough of Carnegie, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 15, Section 204 of the Borough Code of Ordinances relating to motor vehicles. And
Second.
Discussion?
What this ordinance is about is providing for parking on one side of the street on Morrow Avenue from Railroad Avenue to Bell Avenue.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution 2015-6, a resolution of the Borough of Carnegie establishing a handicap parking space at 330 Wilcox Street.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
The last motion this evening is motion to adopt resolution 2015-7, a resolution of the Borough of Carnegie establishing a handicap parking space at 310 Midland Avenue.
Second.
And I just would like to comment, I waited to the second handicap one, to make a comment. But if you have a handicap space in front of your house, but you're not, you moved in and the space was there, and you don't have a handicap placard, you don't need a handicap space, please, come to the borough, so that we can, eliminate that space. We are talking about having an annual, where you have to renew it annually or biannually, so that we can keep track, because a lot of times the handicap spaces are put in place, and then, the people move or pass on, whatever the case, and if the space is no longer needed, but nobody reports that to us. So hopefully we'll get a system in place where we could better monitor this. Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have this evening, Madam President.
Community Development and Code Enforcement, Councilman Borough.
Thank you, Madam President. Point of information, the address associated with the conditional use is 843. Thank you. Okay. The first motion is a motion to advertise for a public hearing on Monday, July 13, 2015 at 6:30 for a conditional use hearing for the proposed personal service business located at 409 East Main Street, lot and block 66E39.
Second.
And just for everybody's information, that's the old Wynot location down on East Main Street.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Was the previous motion, there was one agenda with the previous motion. Was that one struck?
Yes.
Okay. Just to clarify.
Committee reports? and
No, he has no motion.
Oh, okay.
Nothing like your first day in the job and you change the agenda. Welcome to the biz. Okay, this is the motion to approve the conditional use application of Ms. Lou Silla for 843 Washington Road, Carnegie, Pennsylvania, subject to the provisions of the Borough zoning ordinance, with conditions that the hours of operation be limited to the hours of 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and that any signage be consistent with the requirements of the Borough zoning ordinance and the comprehensive plan for the Borough of Carnegie.
Second.
Discussion?
Well, basically, if you were here for the conditional use hearing, you understand basically what we're looking to do is we're going to approve this right now, and then we are going to make sure that the conditions are fulfilled afterward, and that will be cleared through the appropriate authorities within the municipality. This will allow this operation, this new business, to move with all deliberate speed to get up and running. Okay?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Good luck to you.
Good luck.
Abstentions?
We didn't say you could leave before the end of the meeting. There's still a lot left.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll have anything to report.
Finance, Councilperson Delos.
Thank you, Madam President. Two items. Comparing this year's property tax income to last year, we see that delinquent property tax collections, which we collect through Jordan Tax Service as our acting agent, are significantly lower this year to date than they were last year. Last year to date, we had collected $181,000 in delinquent property taxes through Jordan. This year to date, $96,000, about half of what we collected last year at this time. Probably would be appropriate for us to have a conversation with them. Perhaps they are not being as diligent this year as they were last year in following up on delinquent tax collections. The other item is that our parking lot construction is underway in the Citizens Bank parking lot. Two parking lots are under construction this summer. Major renovations, which include stormwater management, and those will cost the taxpayers about $750,000 for those two parking lots. Citizens Bank parking lot should be completed by the 4th of July, maybe a little bit earlier than that, and they will then proceed to parking lot 10, which is in the central part of our business district, and that work will commence and continue probably a little past Labor Day, maybe mid-September. That's all I have.
Just remember, tell them they'll be doing it in the one in front of Carnegie Coffee will be half the time.
Right, the one in parking lot 10, which is in the center of the business district, will be done in two parts so that they do not close the parking lot entirely for the entire time. They'll do half of it and then reopen that half and then close the other half to try to minimize the parking inconvenience. There are about 85 parking spaces in that lot, and we didn't want to close the whole thing at one time.
And part of the deficit for delinquent tax collections was the sale of one building that had significant delinquent taxes on it. So when that was sold and the building, and they paid, the liens were released, and obviously, I was looking at some time when you were conducting the conditional use, to look on the website, and it was $55,000 in delinquent taxes for the sale of that building. So just to clarify, so they're a little bit behind, but not that far because of that one building. So.
Code enforcement and community development, Councilperson Borough.
No report at this time, thank you.
Public Works, Councilperson Decker. Public Safety, Councilperson Boyd.
Nothing this evening, Madam President.
For my report, I'm going to do my junior council. The Bishop Canada baseball team finished the season 4th in Whitfield, and the girls softball finished 3rd. Finals for Bishop Canada are tomorrow. Students will be dismissed at 11:40. And then some students from BC, along with St. Simon Parish, will be going on a mission trip with Habitat for Humanity. And that will be starting June 27th and go till July 3rd. And then last, I'd like to thank Council for giving me this opportunity, and I hope everyone has a wonderful summer. Manager's report.
Thank you, Madam President. I just had one thing for this evening. Public Works has started on our phase 2 of our 3-phase Carnegie Park overhaul. At our all-purpose field at Carnegie Park, there was a railroad tie wall that was put in more than 20 years ago or so, and we were able to do this job ourselves, remove all those ties which were over time, some of which were in still good shape, but overall falling apart, and we were able to replace that with real nice block, which will be much more sturdier and safer for the kids that will be using it up there. So just if you get a chance, if you notice it, so they did a very nice job, and this was, just the supplies itself was $13,577, but if we would have bid this out to someone else, to another contractor, it probably would have been double that. So we were able to save a lot of money, and this goes towards our in-kind work for the park. So I just wanted to point that out and say Public Works did a good job, so thank you. And that's all I have for this month.
Carnegie Volunteer Fire Department and EMS report.
Let's see here. During the month of May, EMS answered 266 calls. There were 23 fire calls. There were 2 false alarms, reportable false alarms during the month. There were 2 fires as well. One was a relatively significant fire. No loss of life in either event. Unfortunately, it's the first time that I got to see a pet that didn't make it, and that was kind of rough. But yeah, other than that, that's all I have for the Carnegie Fire this evening.
Mayor's report?
Thank you, Madam President. For the month of May, our police department had criminal arrests and citations numbering 22, traffic citations 43, parking tickets 182, complaints and self-initiated activity by our department were 1,036 complaints. Just a little bit, you can tell we're getting into summer here. We have an absolute significant increase in animal complaints, disruptive conduct, and domestic violence assaults. So this last month we've had an increase in all 3 of those. And unfortunately that usually happens when the weather turns better, so hopefully that'll taper off come the rest of the summer though. As you know, last weekend we had a tough traffic situation. It was, they had that inbound full closure, and the traffic was actually backed up from Greentree to I-79. I mean, I stayed in town all day Sunday and did whatever I could to talk to PennDOT a few times, see if we could get the traffic moving at the one end up in Greentree. They said they had officers up there. It's just one of those situations where I don't know if we'll be able to solve the inbound closure being a parking lot here in Carnegie. The good news on that is that inbound closure should only happen 2 more times before the end of the project, and there should be 2 more outbound closures, and they should be at different parts of the parkway. So I'm hoping that the worst is over. I mean, it's still not going to be great, but I'm hoping the worst is over. The one thing I would like to point out is that the chief, I bucked him quite a bit on Sunday, but he did a great job of getting additional officers that stay even longer on Sunday until they opened up back at 9:30. So I appreciate that, chief. We have a flag service for one of our officers, Christian Shade. His name was added to the memorial wall in Washington, D.C., and that flag service will be this weekend. And, it's open to the public, so if anybody wants to come and honor an officer that died in the line of duty, please join us. It'll be on the 13th, right here at our flag out in front. The other thing that our officers will be doing this summer is we will be having our Bowling for Books program. So any child in the community, all they have to do is come up to an officer and tell them they read a book, and they will get a pass for. Actually, it's a pass for 1 free game throughout the whole summer for bowling. And what's your sister's name? Lindsay. I saw you reading a book down there too, so I'm going to give you the first pass here of the year for. Because you were sitting in the stands and reading a book. So this is for you, Lindsay.
Good for you.
That's good for 1 free game all summer long. All you have to do is just tell an officer you read a book, and he'll give you one of those passes. Or she'll give you one of those passes. He or she will give you one of those passes. Ooh, better watch what I say. We have 3 female officers on this force. The other thing is we have some other activities coming up. We have the Dogapalooza this weekend, and Christy Crawshaw, who is a Girl Scout going for a Gold Award, which is the equivalent of an Eagle Scout Award, has put together a beautiful day at the dog park. And so anybody who wants to come, it's from 12 to 4 on this Sunday. We also have a Carnegie night at the Washington Wild Things, and that's going to be July 30th. There'll be more information as we get closer to that. And then we'll be having some movies in the park. The very first movie in the park will be on June 30th. We have 3 dates, and this will be our first time attempting these, so hopefully it'll go smoothly. But I think we have all the equipment and the expertise to get this done. And one last thing, which is a little bit of bad news. I just wanted to put it out there. Is when we're talking about traffic, I almost forgot to mention this. Is that we do have another serious traffic project coming our way, and it should be coming around middle of July. A couple of us met with the county, and I actually talked to Mr. Smallhoover the other day. And it looks like the project will start about the middle of July, and that'll be on Campbell's Run Road. Tell me about it. It's a significant project. It'll be right by Knickerbocker. There's a bridge there and a retaining wall, and that retaining wall needs to be replaced. And what they will be doing is they will be closing the lane that coming into Carnegie for 3 to 4 months, and the lane going out of Carnegie will remain open, which to me is just kind of crazy. But that's what we were told. So that's the good news I have. They just don't want people to get into Carnegie. That's all I have. Just left everybody. I've never seen this.
Took the breath out of everybody, unfortunately.
What's that? 10 a.m. on Saturday for the flag service for Officer Shade. I don't know tomorrow. But we will have a very cool princess at the park to highlight the movie. And it's the same person that was in our Memorial Day parade.
Nice.
So, can you guess what movie? The older people can't guess what movie. Lindsay, can you guess what movie? You're not even paying attention. I don't know. I can't say.
General public comment. Please state name and address, and please keep comments 3 minutes or under.
I'm Amanda Coley, I'm the president of the Carnegie Towers Resident Association. I just wanted to reiterate to the group up here that you are more than welcome to come to our resident meeting. That is the second Wednesday of the month. Mr. Philbrook. Our next meeting is Wednesday, July 8th. That is at 7 o'clock. I just wanted to let you know we're getting ready to do a Refuse to be a Victim class for our residents in the building, since we have a lot of residents that come to us with domestic issues and things, and as you had said, Jack, with the weather getting the way it is, one of our members thought that would be a great idea, and I don't know if you're aware of Mike Meredith. He does EMT work and things. He does this stuff too, so he brought that to our attention, and he's going to do our class. We have to get registered with the NRA and stuff like that, so we're getting ready to try and figure out a date and a time and a place to have our class, since our building is not available to us at this time. But I will give you guys each one of these, and if you guys are wanting to participate, you can. We got a group rate of $25 per person. Usually does 200-ish. So, the class is very hands-on and very detailed, and it's about 8 to 12 hours, but we're going to split it up into a few days. Especially for the women that we have in the building, it sounds like it's a very, very good program to do. Pamphlet's very detailed too, and I'll leave that with you guys. But I just wanted to let you know about the meeting again. Usually we've been having them out back in the building. For right now, we haven't had very good attendance since we don't have a good place to post anything in the building right now. But I do have a Facebook page group for the residents, so they know what's going on in the building and different things like that. And if you guys would like, you can request for the page too, so you know what's going on at the building. I just have that's for residents only, but you guys can do that too, so you know what's going on. Other than that, that's it. Thank you.
Amanda, thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's the first Wednesday, not the second.
Oh, I did that. Oh, that's because you said the second.
That's
Wednesday.
right.
Got me confused now. First
All right,
Wednesday.
good.
Yes, oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all
Got me
right, thank you.
confused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, everyone. Joanne Letcher with the Carnegie Community Development Corporation. Just wanted to remind everyone, the second crawl of the summer is coming up Friday. The theme for this crawl is Margaritaville, so if you're coming to town, wear your tropical outfits, and some of the businesses will be having special drink deals, and also we're having a shuttle for this crawl. The tentative stops are Bacon, they will be open to stamp everyone, Papa J's area, Bob's Diner, and Carnegie Antiques, and I will confirm that with STA later in the week as I get feedback from the businesses. Also, last minute addition, even though the Flying Squirrel is not quite open yet, they will be open with entertainment from 6 to 8, and they will be giving out frequent flyer ice cream cards, which I'm sure all of you will want, and hopefully some free samples. So looking forward to that and hoping all of you can attend. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Good evening, my name is Melissa Kraft. I live at 406 2nd Avenue. Mr. Beaver, you might recognize my name and address from numerous phone calls to your office last year and this year, and emails as well. I'm here to follow up on what's being done with the vacant, dilapidated properties around my home. As I said, I went to code enforcement many times over the past couple of years. Many times this year. Most of my questions tonight were directed to Mr. Roma, but, well, convenient for him, he's not here. I have a lot across from my house at 409 2nd Avenue, where the grass is now waist high. I have a vacant property right next door to me at 410 2nd Avenue, where the weeds reach the porch awning. There are chemicals and paint and a refrigerator on the porch that have been there for more than 2 years. I have a house next door where they have sometimes 27 lawnmowers in the yard, where I go out in my yard and smell nothing but gasoline and oil, feet away from my property line, actually inches. And Mr. Roma told me last year, will they fix those lawnmowers up and sell them? Well, why do these people not have a business permit? I also wanted to inquire about the occupancy permit and what that means, because when I moved into my house and purchased my house 12 years ago, Mr. Roma came by and nitpicked every single thing. 90% of the properties by me are rentals that change tenants numerous times. These are dilapidated buildings owned by slumlords. I know of some that have exposed electrical wiring, that nothing's being done because the slumlord has gotten away with this for decades. There's a house across from me at 410 Diamond Way, owned by a former Carnegie official, where garbage has been piled up on the porch since November. And it goes on and on.
I'm sorry, can you give me the 410 second was?
410 Second is the property that's a vacant house for about 2 years. The owners live in Imperial.
And is that the one with the lawnmowers, or is that a?
That's the one with the weeds up to the porch
Okay, that's
line,
weed, okay.
with the chemicals on the porch, the refrigerator on the porch.
And I thought 408 was the one beside the church lot. Is that not correct?
410 is the one beside it. 410 Diamond is the one beside the church lot. That's now up for rent, which again, will
No,
they
there's
get an
somebody in there,
occupancy
I
permit?
just, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact,
somebody's in there
you're
right now.
speaking of probably how many of the properties that I just gave Steve? I just gave him a list.
Mhm.
Which, the lawnmowers, which number is that?
That is at 404 Second. There's also people on our street that rent a house that have 6 vehicles on their street. 6 vehicles on an already congested street because of the funeral home and the Concordia Club. You know, before the flood, we all had to purchase a permit for a parking spot. And, you know, I think it's fine if you have 2 vehicles, but, you know, come on, 6 vehicles on the street. You know, 1 in your garage. It's ridiculous. And,
I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Melissa Kraft, K-R-A-F-T, out of the 406 Second Avenue.
And I would say this, just off the record, because I've dealt with Melissa a number of times, and,
Sorry.
no, I think you're 100% right. A lot of these properties, when we talk about frequent flyer, these are frequent flyers. Same properties, year in, year out, year in, year out. And that's the frustrating part. And I think if there's anything that our solicitors could do to find out something, that when we have people that are frequent flyers, if there's any, and I've discussed this many times at our meetings, if there's any way we can update our ordinances or add something that makes it difficult for these frequent flyers to continue to get their occupancy permit when they're continuously ignoring our code ordinances. The other thing is, we should always be more proactive when stuff like this, especially when we know we have properties that are violators.
And
I think the biggest-
I just talked to our attorney about to see if there's any way that after, you know, a few offenses, if we could revoke their landlord tenant.
Yes.
So that's what,
I just
Joe,
don't
where's
understand.
Joe, I think he's looking into that now.
I don't understand who picks and chooses who has to apply for an occupancy permit. and
Everybody
what
has
year
to
they're
apply
gonna
for
enforce
an
it.
occupancy permit.
Well, there was a property last year that I complained about where they were cutting up cars and getting rid of them in the middle of the night. I was told by Mr. Roma, oh, that man always collected scrap. That man has not lived there for 5 years. That man lives in Hans Wagner and rents to druggies. And his comment is, oh, they pay the rent. Yeah, of course they pay the rent, drug
No,
money
see,
in my neighborhood.
This is the thing, this is what I was just talking to some people down on 3rd Street, because there are new tenants in a few properties down there, and I know they haven't applied for their occupancy permit. So unless we know, I mean, if somebody doesn't tell us that a tenant moved out and somebody moves in, we don't know, but if the neighbors tell us these things, then we can check and say, hey, you don't have your occupancy permit, out you go, or we need to check it, and then it won't pass. You know what I mean? So we need,
I mean, unfortunately, honestly, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. You might have been contacting the mayor, but I'm the president of council. Code enforcement is under council, so I didn't know about it. I mean, I'll personally go over and see what can be done. But I don't want to get into a debate tonight because I'd like to try to do my due diligence and get to the bottom of the situation so we can get back to you and get you some answers as to what exactly can be done. Because I can't speculate.
I understand there's a process when people ignore citations, but is anybody following through?
Yeah,
Because it's been years.
let me check into all of that and I'll get back to you personally.
And she hasn't been contacting me. She contacts Steve in the first, and then every once in a while she'll talk to me and say, hey, I haven't heard anything back from
Yes,
this
I
guy.
have emails.
Yeah, you can always contact me, I mean, anytime, so.
and Melissa, can you leave us your number?
Yes. And just to inform you, since you don't know, the group of houses that were sold, there were 4 houses sold for $54,000, 3 on Diamond Way, and 1 on 2nd Avenue. There are, I believe, 413 Diamond Way, 414 and 416, and 412 2nd. They have fixed them up and moved some people into one of them, and they're showing them to other people. So right there's 4 occupancy permits. I mean, you can smell the mold when they're moving people into these houses, because they were never cleaned after the flood.
412, did you say?
412 2nd Avenue, and then I believe the other ones, they were owned by States Realty, but there were 413, 414, and 416
Diamond Way.
Yes.
Mr. President, if I may, I know that this certainly falls within this Office of the Solicitor's bailiwick. There has been a recent surge in activity statewide, and some legislation has been passed and some interpretations that we're seeing by the courts that will, I believe, give council the ability
to take action against people who have previous violations to the point of revoking licensure to rent properties within our community. And it's a process, and Mr. Lucas and I will be discussing it. He's attended a seminar in Lancaster this past week on that topic. So hopefully we'll be able to give you folks some information and some actions that you may take. And it's, unfortunately, it's not a problem that is indigenous to the borough. We're experiencing it across the state. And perhaps the legislature has done something now that will assist us in communities in addressing those issues.
After the meeting, I'll let you know, not right now, but after the meeting.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Council Good and Welfare, Councilperson Sarsfield.
Thank you. I just want to start by thanking all those that came out and voted this past election and gave myself and Councilwoman another 4 years to continue to work, and we'll continue to work hard. And you know, there's a lot of issues. Me and Melissa, we did speak on election day about those issues. Mrs. Miller had approached me, you know, with the cars being cut up. Mr. Rome has been off, but you know, I was going to address those matters. I'm sure President Katina will follow up on them, as he said. And we got a lot of good stuff, as the mayor pointed out. The Dog-a-Palooza coming up, the movies in the park, just a lot of good stuff for families and children. And I think it's important that we have those types of activities. And I definitely will attend the flag service for fallen officer here in the borough of Carnegie. And I just hope that you all have a nice summer, and probably the sooner we get out of here, the little bit cooler will be, right? That's all I have.
Councilperson DeWitt.
Thank you, Madam President. We have 3 members of council that sit on the library board by rule. So there's always 3 members here from council who are participating in the library activities. And you may be aware, you've got recently received in the mail, even this week, a flyer from the library, a booklet explaining what's going on the rest of the year. And we're pretty happy to tell you that the library itself, the section of the building that is dedicated to our readers, is under renovation. A major project which has taken many, many years to get started, but $400,000 renovation of the library to restore it to its original condition 110 years ago. So we're pretty excited about that. If you go to the library now, you'll know that the library is temporarily located in the basement of the building for a few months while they work through the renovations of the library itself. And there's a lot of upcoming events through the summer and the fall, and we hope that you'll participate in those. That's all I have, Mr. President. Madam President.
Councilperson DeWitt.
Madam President, nothing this week.
Councilperson Whitfield. Councilperson Boyd.
I have nothing this evening, Madam President.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Good job.